Hi, and welcome to the Tranquil Cottage Knits podcast. I'm your host, Michelle. You can find me on Ravelry as Tranquil Cottage, Instagram as Tranquil Cottage Knits, and you can find the blog at www.tranquilcottageknits.weebly.com. So, hi, happy Monday. Oh, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Ignore the alerts that come on my laptop telling me that it needs to reboot. Snooze. So, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. It's been crazy, hasn't it? It seems like everything went by so quick, just so fast. It doesn't seem like today is January 1st, and it doesn't seem like I can't even believe Christmas happened already. So fast. Now, okay. My darling husband has corralled the dogs, and they are not happy with being denied their mama, so they're barking and playing. So, I guess I should say, for everybody who has returned, thank you so much for coming back. And for anybody who is new, maybe you hasn't listened to me before, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Just a really brief, I'm a knitter. I've been a knitter for 12 years, I believe. And I only crochet very vague amoeba-like shapes. I'm not successful with the crocheting. I have tried. I am also a spinner and hope to become a weaver as soon as I just get chillax time. So I am definitely a crafty girl, and I love getting my hands into new things. So well, I had a few new cooking forays over the holiday, and the first was I made beef Wellington for Christmas dinner. I found a recipe online that was 15-minute puff pastry. The flavor is amazing, totally amazing. But it's not as flaky and puffy as I guess a traditional puff pastry crust would be. Or maybe I let mine get too warm, I'm not quite sure. But it was pretty darn delicious any way it goes. So that was my first thing. And then New Year's Eve, I made crepes or crepes. I had somebody actually say that to me. Is it crepes or crepes? I have no idea. I do know. It is delicious. No matter how you say it, it's delicious. So, we were at Christmas, our family Christmas, which was held on Saturday, and I was talking with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law and my husband, and we were kind of just chit-chatting and joking. And I was talking about how I used to, back before we were married, made my husband raspberry crepes. And my husband mentioned that was what made him fall for me. Way to a man's heart, right? So that just kind of put it in mind that I needed to make them for New Year's. We gave up one tradition this year. Normally on Christmas Eve we have chili, and I just wasn't feeling it, and neither was he, so we had Christmas Eve beef stew. And it was good, but I don't know. Just, yeah. So I'm sure we'll come up with a tradition for that. But what I did make was strawberry crepes for New Year's Eve. And the way I do my crepes, first off, I like to use 2% milk. Whole milk is too fatty, skim milk is too runny. 2%, it's good balance. And so it is 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs, half cup of 2% milk, half cup of water, 2 tablespoons of butter melted, and a quarter teaspoon of salt, and then I use an 1/8 cup of sugar. The sugar just helps the browning, the caramelization a little bit. I don't expect grapes to get too brown. That's not the point. That's not what I want. And if you have too much sugar in it, they get crunchy and like they brown too much, and that makes your crepe hard. So I don't do that, but just a little bit in there helps the browning. And because traditionally I make sweet crepes anyway. So if I were doing savory, I would probably omit the sugar, although they're tasty any way it goes. So first thing is I whisk the eggs. So I whisk the 2 eggs, and then I add in the 1/2 cup of milk, add in the 1/2 cup of water. Occasionally I'll put in a little vanilla at that point, but not typically. And then I slowly add in the flour, and at the end I add in the sugar and the salt. And then I have a tiny bit of butter in the pan. I use a nonstick anyway, but I put a little butter in the pan, and then I pour, I'm trying to think of what the measurement would be. I use a 1/2 cup scoop, but I only fill it about 2/3. You do the math. I eyeball it. You just pour it into the hot pan, and then you swirl it around to spread your crepe nice and thin. And when I can pick up the pan and kind of just give it a swirl and the crepe moves around freely in the pan, I flip it and flip the crepe upside down, and then I let it cook maybe a minute on the other side, and out it goes. And they go really fast. They go really fast. So that is my basic crepe recipe. Now for the filling, I did a mascarpone cheese kind of vanilla filling. And so I used 2 tablespoons of we do our own homemade vanilla with vanilla beans and vodka. So used our own homemade vanilla, 2 tablespoons, and 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese, and 8 ounces of sour cream, and a 1/4 cup of sugar. And I have a KitchenAid stand mixer, and I just whipped that until it's nice and light and fluffy. And then that's the filling. And then I took 2 bags of frozen strawberries, and I just put them in a pot with about a 1/4 cup of sugar for the 2 bags of strawberries. But obviously you do that to taste. And then, so when the crepes are done, I put like a little layer of the vanilla cream on the inside, and I roll them up, and strawberries go on the outside, and a little dollop of the mascarpone filling goes on top. And that's my homemade strawberry crepes. When I made the homemade raspberry crepes, that's what won the husband's heart. So the recipe is good, tried and true. And the reason I used to do the raspberry crepes is because I was a huge fan of Linganore wine cellars, which I still am. It's just out here in Virginia, it seems like their stuff is harder to get. And I used to go to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, and they had their raspberry wine at the Renaissance Festival all the time. So I just had easy access to it. But since I don't do that so much anymore, I don't get it. I could order it, but I haven't found any place here that carries Linganore. So, but they have a dessert, very light raspberry wine that is amazingly delicious. It is sweet and fruity and tart and bright, and it was perfect. So that's why I used to make raspberry crepes, because I had the raspberry wine to go along with it. So now that I don't have that anymore, and strawberries were what was on sale, that's how we roll these days, I just made strawberry crepes, and they were so good. So good. So that's the raspberry crepes recipe adventure that we had. And let's see, what else did we do? I didn't bake any cookies or anything this week. Well, it was my end of month for work as well. And when I have end of month for work, I tend to work until 10 p.m. at night. And you come home at 10 p.m. and you're just really not in the mood to function, let alone go in the kitchen and bake and cook stuff. So as catch as catch can. My poor husband, he got all the fancy things before we got married. But we did do New Year's Crepes, and I think we're going to do that every year. We also went out to Blue Wing Frog. Blue Wing Frog is a local restaurant here in Front Royal, and I love them. Kelly and Robert are just, they're wonderful people, and the food is always good, and their cookies are just awesome. They do a really good job of blending savory and sweet components in their cookies. Like there's like I want to say lemon lavender or lemon rosemary. I can't remember. Anyway, it's delightful, and my favorite thing is they do a platter called a Nibbly Bits platter, and it's got fresh fruit, cheese, dried fruit, olives, whatever fresh veggies they've had come out of the garden that they've pickled or whatever, and a little selection of meats. And it's just, it is like, oh, it always comes with fresh bread. Oh, they're fresh focaccia. So good. So they had a New Year's Eve dinner thing, and it was wonderful. The people were fun. There were all these little kids around, and they didn't do it by our midnight New Year time zone. They did it by Greenwich Mean Time. So it was 7 p.m. was New Year's, which is good because it allowed the kids to come out, and the kids got sparkling apple cider. And all the adults got champagne and toasted Greenwich Mean Time New Year's. It was fun, and the kids were getting the confetti off the floor and throwing it, and it was a good time. It was nice, and it was good to see friends. Robert and Kelly are wonderful, and I just had a really good time. So that was our New Year's. My family, we just had Christmas with my husband's family, and that was Saturday the 30th. And everybody got hand knits this year. It was exciting. So my sister-in-law got 2 cowls from me. She got, I think, was it 2 cowls? I feel like there's something I'm missing. My mother-in-law got a pair of socks and a sweater and a scarf. It's like a shawlette, like a little shawlette. And I did matching hats for my nephew and my brother-in-law, and they were beautiful and gray and fuzzy and just lovely. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. My nephew got his sweater. I did the cutest little sweater for him, and so that was nice. So anyway, everybody got hand knits, and everybody seemed to be really pleased with what they got, and I'm glad. It's like if you can't be with them every day, just wrap them in love, wrap them in hand knit love, and let them go out into the world with a layer of your hug around them. That's how I think. So it was really wonderful, and my sister-in-law gave me a gift card to Miss Babs for Christmas, and Miss Babs was having her gratitude sale, so I went on and got a colorway I have been dreaming of. Have you ever been on Miss Babs' site? I love it. I love that website. I go on there. If I'm having a hard day, I just go on there and will click one of the yarn lines, and then I will just start kind of like in a find your fade mentality. Like I'll just start, okay, there's this color and this color goes with this color, and then that color has a little bit of this color in it, and I'll just start matching up colors and putting them in a row and changing the order and adding new colors in, and I'll just take 10 minutes and do some color therapy. Totally changes my mood. Absolutely changes my mood. So awesome. So awesome. I love color. I don't think I could live without color. I have found color absolutely affects my mood. It brightens my day. I don't mean I need to be going outside wearing neon yellow pants and whatnot. Just looking at colors, having the visual, I don't know how to describe it, but just having a visual experience of playing with color or interacting with color. That's a good way to put it. Going into a yarn shop, going to Walmart and looking at the paint chips. Really? It just makes me so happy. Color makes me happy. And color is awesome for me, if I'm having a bad day or battling with a little depression. Playing with color absolutely helps my mood. So, we also had our company Christmas party. That was fun. And just, we had a good time. Everybody was fun and kind and jovial, and so that was good. It was a good holiday. Like I said, I do feel like it was whirlwind. I do feel like it went by too fast, but it was a good time. It was a really good time. So I did not get pictures of all of the hand knit gifts that I gave family. It all just zipped right through. So I guess new year, new deal. I will get on to the knits. The first thing is something I have already lost, mostly because I've thrown it on the floor. Hang on. Or maybe my pause button. So this had to fall on the floor because apparently I didn't knit enough dog hair into it when I was making it. So I was on Instagram one day and absolutely fell in love with, I didn't bring the designer's name. Let me see if I can look that up real quick. So I was on Instagram and found, was just, you know how you look at everybody's pictures and you drool over colorways and just different things like that. That's what I was doing, having a good time, and fell in love with a hat. It is Swirled Piece by Lisa K. Ross, and with the Swirled Piece hat is the Swirled Traveler cowl, and they are adorable. Like that day, I think it was just that day, I'm not sure, she was having a special where if you, where her patterns are like half off. So the hat and the cowl each are $5. I went on, got them together, so it's $5 for the both of them. And I knew exactly what I wanted to use for them. When I was at my very first Rhinebeck, I had gone to Liberty Ridge Farms and had picked up their yak and silk fingering weight. And I had picked up 3 colors. There's this lovely kind of taupey gray, so it's a brown leaning gray, you know what I mean, right? And a lovely kind of turquoisey teal and a navy blue. And so I chose the teal and gray together. But this yarn is on the thin side of fingering, so it's a light fingering, and I was worried that the hat was going to be too small, so I knit the largest size and wish I hadn't. So I do not typically wear my hat slouchy. Ugh, bad hair day. I don't typically wear my hat slouchy, but this one has just a little, so I thought, well, I could roll it, but then you start seeing the edge of the color work. That's about where I'd be comfortable with it. I don't know. If I pulled it down the way it goes, slightly too big. But it is warm, it is cozy, it is comfy, and that's why I fell in love with it. How beautiful is that? It's such a graceful, kind of feminine pattern. I love it. God. Talk about bad hair day. I love it so much, and maybe I just need to wear the hat now because I look ridiculous. So that's kind of how it's supposed to be, but it's obviously not fitted. And in my mind, I could slouch a little, but if it's not fitted, am I showing off that beautiful design to its full potential? Should I just rework it and knit it in a smaller size? Just give you 3 size options, and I'm picked the largest. I do have a rather large noggin. So I was so geared up to I wanted to bang these out. This is my Christmas Eve cast on, and it was my New Year's Eve bind off. So the turnaround time was not bad for it being color work. I'm just not quite sure how in love with it I am, and that is absolutely no fault of the yarn or the pattern. It is 100% the fact that either my hat is too large and my head too small, or one of those. That confused me. So, I did go ahead and cast on the cowl, and promptly lost interest. I think it's due to my dissatisfaction with the hat and the sizing of the hat, and not being sure how I feel in the hat and how comfortable I am with it, with the size problem. So I kind of put it in timeout, and I'm just like glaring at it. It is in my Freckled Whimsy Christmas bag that I had fallen in love with because it has a wolf on a sled. How cute is he? So we'll see where that goes. I might pick it back up. I might frog it. I don't know. I don't know at this point. Sad day. The next thing is I had 3 years ago when I put somebody in timeout. They're in timeout. I used to be a preschool teacher. When I say timeout, I mean it. So 3 years ago, I put a lovely cowl in timeout. I had started knitting it for my sister-in-law and had actually finished knitting it, except for grafting it. I spent like 3 hours painstakingly grafting this Kitchener stitch all the way around this cowl, because you knit the cowl in the round, so it ends up being a long tube, and then you stitch the ends of the tube together. I did it and found that somehow, even though I had taken a thread and ran it straight up, maybe that's the problem. Because the pattern spirals. I think of that. I'm such an idiot. Okay, so as I'm knitting this in the round, I don't know if that's the problem or not. But basically what I did is I took a yarn and ran it straight up between 2 stitches, between the same 2 stitches, from the bottom of the cowl all the way up. And then that's how I met my ends together, and I Kitchener stitched around from there. And when I finished, it had like a 180 twist in it. So basically the 2 ends that I stitched together, instead of stitching like this, actually it was more like this. So there was a twist in the cowl, and I was completely and utterly displeased with it, even though I love knitting the cowl. And the yarn I had chosen for it was Freya hand paint in the colorway Ice Queen, and I had gotten 2 skeins. And I had gotten, if you ever look at the Freya hand paints, sometimes you can look at them and see where they did like a long repeat of the color, like a long run, and where they ended one and then started skeining the rest of that for the next. Does that make sense? For the next skein? So basically what I did is I found one that went from the very, like the white, and ended at the dark teal. And then the center of the next one was the dark teal and went out to white on the end. If you've never worked with Freya hand paints, they're gradient, and I think it's Freya hand paint. Anyway, it's a gradient, and and they come already having been wound on a ball winder. So they come in a cake, a yarn cake. So this is Ice Queen. And like I said, one skein started at the white and the other started at the teal, and then you do your stripes, and then the colors crisscross each other in the middle. And then so it's like this beautiful fade. And I loved this thing, and I was so happy to do it for my sister-in-law. And so when you put them together, basically you make the ends of the tube kind of kiss. So it's a loop, and now it looks fine. But when I did it, it ended up like I had skeined it like this. And so like there was this awkward kind of bend in it that just didn't lay flat, it didn't lay right. So I happened upon it this week as I was going through stuff, and I was like, God, I still really love the colors. Obviously, it is my sister-in-law's colors. She is such a teal girl, and the fade is beautiful, the yarn is beautiful. It's soft and squishy, and I had actually done another one for her in like magenta and cream that she liked. So I went ahead and pulled it out, and I'm going to finish this sucker. I'm going to take it out of timeout and forgive it, which I already have. I ripped out the edge. I have forgiven you. You and I can be friends again. So that is, I have to look up the pattern again. It's been so long. Like, it's been like 3 years. Probably longer than 3 years. Because I was still living in Maryland at the time, and my husband and I had the cottage. And I remember I knit this in like a February because I found this at Fiberspace. I found the yarn at Fiberspace after Christmas and absolutely fell in love with it and thought it was perfect for my sister-in-law. And it was the same year I gave her the magenta and cream colored cowl. So I was like, she loved it. Let me just whip up another one for her. The pattern was a joy to knit, and I should probably look at it and tell you what pattern that is and who made it. Let's see. Since I am in my Ravelry page, let's see. Or it might absolutely just not even be in here at all. Yeah. That's what it looks like. I don't even have it in here at all. But I do want to say that it was a free pattern, and let's see if I can look it up real quick for you. So the Freya hand paints is lovely. It is soft, and the colors are gorgeous, and it was a happy thing to knit. It's a long tube of knitting, but it's very pleasurable to knit because you don't have to any ends to weave in except for your cast on bind off edge, and actually on your cast on edge you do a provisional cast on, so you don't even have that. And so it is just, it's very easy, very pleasurable, and I just had a good time with it. Then I didn't. Ah, there you go. It's Orange Flower Yarns Dual Tone Cow. That is the pattern, and it, like I said, it was lovely. It's a fun knit. I just seamed it up wrong. Excuse me. Ah! So I just seamed it up wrong. And again, not a problem with the yarn, not a problem with the pattern. Operator error, misjudgment on my part. But I do think 3 years is long enough for a poor hand knit to be in timeout, and for the sacrifice that that wonderful sheep made. It's time to bring it back out. The next thing up is, oh, this happy dappy stuff. Everybody a couple years ago was doing, about 2012, was doing Zuzu's petals. I was like, meh. It wasn't something that appealed to me, and for some reason, well, probably because I have some Australian wool that I got. That's what the tag says. 100% Australian wool. Here's my label. I just realized I didn't pull the camera back up, so I'm actually talking to my Ravelry pattern page. So I went to put this up there, and I like have no idea whatsoever if you guys can even see it. So I had picked this up in 2 separate colorways. One is this kind of pretty purpley teal color. It looks very, very much and feels very much like mochi. So I was like, oh, let's give it a shot. So I started knitting up a Zuzu's Petals. And that is my current whip. I am to the point where you just start the lace pattern, and it's pretty. Not terribly soft. It's like mochi. It's very woolly. Feels very woolly. The other colorway I had gotten is this one with, I don't know, maybe I'm sorry, I got crinkles. Maybe I'm channeling my sister-in-law, but I got this red, and it's this red and this lovely kind of, I don't even know if I'd call it a mustardy yellow. I don't know what color yellow that is, but it's got this hit of little sky blue in here, and this pretty brown, and this teal, and the red. So I thought that was a really pretty color palette, and so I had picked that up as well. So I've got one Zuzu's Petals on the needles, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with the rest of it, but I've got to come up with a plan. Now, my best friend Becky, whom I don't get to see until next week, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, she is doing this awesome thing where she's trying to do 12 pairs of socks in 2018. So a pair of socks a month. And that diligent little minx has already put together all of her patterns and all of her like balls of yarn. And so she's got all of her sock yarn wound and all of her sock patterns pulled and printed and in baggies, ready to go for the entire year. What is that? What is that? I literally have a shopping bag full of project bags with barely thought of, half completed whips sitting next to my knitting chair. And I have castonitis so bad that I looked out at them and I'm like, meh. What is this? So, this is warm. So, what I'm thinking is that I need to maybe actually finish some of my whips. What is that? I just do. Shh. Windows, stop it. Um, so, um, dogs. Hang on. I'm back. I don't know why I tell you to hold on, because really, I pause it and I come back instantly to you guys. It's not like you guys see me pause it, run out, yell at the dogs, come back in, grab a sip of my coffee, eat a vitamin, then come back, sit down, fluff my hair a little bit, decide it's too messy, tuck it back behind my ears, and then hit unpause. You guys don't see any of that. To you, it's like the magic of the interwebs. I don't. Ah! So, um, so I think my goal is not going to be to do all of the socks in the universe like Becky is doing, although such an admirable goal. Oh my goodness, I'm so envious of her get with-itude. You know what I mean? I'm just her I don't even know what the word is. I know what the word is. That right there. Her, not her gumption. Oh my goodness. Dedication? Empowerment. Empower the knit. I'm just, the fact that she's just like jumping in, making a plan, and she's going to do it. I'm so envious of that. So envious of that. Because I am just a big old hot mess over here. I got whips everywhere. I got project bags with half a project in it. I got things that I look at, and it's like, well, that would be really nice to have, but you know what? I don't ever want to knit on it again, and I'm not fronting them. That's what I need. I need suck-it-up-itude, and I need to just suck it up and frog some of the things that I'm not happy with. Free up those project bags for new things, and just do it. But not today. I'm tired. I told you, big old hot mess over here. I am looking at patterns for the yarn that I ordered. Oh, the Miss Babs yarn that I ordered when I started talking about color. I have been so in love with the Mystery Girl colorway forever. Every time I see it, it makes me happy. She could probably put that colorway on steel wool and I would still love it. It's something about it. But the depth of it and the intensity of it, and at the same time the brightness of it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And I have been wanting it forever. And so I finally got some, and I got it in her MCN blend. Oh, I'm excited. That'll be something luxurious for me. And I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it, but I'm excited. She also got me a spice rack for Christmas. She and her husband and my nephew Cram got me a spice rack for Christmas, and wine rack. Okay, I don't think stemware holder. There you go. It's not a wine rack, it's a stemware holder. So just it was lovely, and my husband was lovely, and the holiday was lovely, and it was all just too short and too intense, and I would love to rewind 2 weeks and do it all over again. I didn't get a chance to go to Maryland and see my family. I didn't get a chance to see my family in Pennsylvania either. There's so many things I would have loved to have done that I just didn't get the chance to do, and it's okay. Right? There's nowhere you can be other than here and now, so might as well be happy with it. So we'll see what happens over the course of the next week with my hat, whether I decide to frog it or forgive it. Maybe you just need to wear it to work one day and get everybody else's opinion on it. Oh, that's exciting. I have a knitter at work. So there's a girl that used to, I guess, work for our company, and then she was gone for a while, and now she came back. And she knits on her lunch break, and we talk about yarn sometimes. It's so nice to have somebody who understands. She knits socks. So that's exciting. That's a nice turn of events in my world. Yeah, I mean, just somebody I can talk with about yarn and about patterns and, have somebody maybe bring to light. This is what I love about knitters. Just the conversation. Somebody's going to say, oh, have you seen this pattern? You're like, oh, no, I have to go check that out. And then you do, and you're like, it was lovely. Or you're like, oh, that's so intricate. I would never do that. Just too much brain power. But I totally respect and I'm not worthy of the fact that you did it. So there's all kinds of things like that that I see. And I just love talking to knitters and being around knitters for those reasons, because they encourage me to look at things that I wouldn't have otherwise, and sometimes in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise. And it was kind of cool. So that is it. That is what you have missed for the last 2 weeks. All the craziness and the cooking and the baking, and my feet hurt from standing so long cooking, and I knit things and I gave people warm fuzzy things and people were happy, and yay. It's exciting. It was a wonderful holiday. I hope yours was wonderful too. I hope you got some time to relax and maybe got some home-baked goodies and just lots of love and maybe a yarny hug from somebody. I hope so. Oh, we are going to have a contest coming up, so I had planned on doing that after the new year, and today is the first day of the new year, and not today, so we'll see, but maybe in the next week or two, we'll have a contest going on, and I look forward to getting everybody to join into that, getting everybody on board, and I think that's it. I'm going to get this sucker uploaded, and if you're single, make some raspberry crepes. And if you're married, make some anyway. Oh, and you know what? If there's not even a significant other in your life and none on the horizon, make them for yourself. Because you deserve it, and they're that damn good. So, Happy New Year, everybody. Let's see what 2018 has in store for us. Bye.